Okay, looks like we are live on YouTube. I'm going to wait just a few minutes for people to start to trickle in. I would love for if anybody who's watching will just like drop a comment in and let us know that you can hear us, and that the sound and the picture are really good. So if you just drop a comment in, let us know if you can hear us, and you can tell us where you're watching from. Oh, wow. Okay, we have more people joining in. Looks like we have like 10 people watching already.
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah, so if you can hear us, if you could just drop a comment in, we're just going to wait a few more seconds to let a couple more people trickle in. But if you can hear us, if you could just drop a comment in and let us know that you can hear us and see us. Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. Cool. So, hi everyone. Welcome to the Maryville Online YouTube page. This is actually our very first YouTube Live, and we're really excited to have Logan and Bailey come and join us for our very first YouTube Live. I'm Tamara Jones. I am the social media community manager for the Maryville Online account, and I will let Logan and Bailey introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Logan Roehr. I'm a sophomore at Maryville.
Hey, I'm Bailey Roehr. I'm a senior. We're both business administration majors.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have you guys on today. I know you guys have been super busy. We looked out to your Forbes article. It's actually not in the description, but if you guys will go on our social medias, or if you just go and look up their names on Google, the Forbes article will show up. You guys have been really, really busy, and we're really excited to have you guys on today to talk about your journey through this really epic trip.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So can you just start by talking about your motivation for going on this trip? Like, why decide to go on a road trip? Why 15 parks? Why now? Why this kind of trip?
I think a lot of people always have like a dream of going on a crazy trip like this. And a lot of people always say like, oh, I want to go out and see the world. And people kind of just wait for the perfect opportunity to fall into your lap. And with all the quarantine going on and the pandemic, I kind of realized like that's never going to show up. Like there's never going to be a perfect, like, okay, everything's ready now. Like now I can take this trip I've always wanted to go on. So I kind of picked the craziest time I could, and I was like, not much going on right now. Like, schools are all closed for the most part. Everyone's online. Like, this is the perfect opportunity to social distance as strongly as possible and just go out and be in the woods and be in nature. So that's what kind of motivated this idea. And then I came to Bailey with it, and he loved it. And yeah, ever since then, it's just kind of quickly snowballed, and then we went on the trip, and now we're planning another one.
You're planning another one. Okay, so we're going to have you guys back on our YouTube page after you guys see the other one. So that's happening. I officially lock it in. So you're planning another one, and you had to plan this one before you guys did it. Can you walk us through a little bit of your planning process? Like, how did you decide your route, which parks to visit, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so Logan initially reached out and he had just sent me a list of, I think there were maybe 12 parks on that list, and we started talking about like, okay, if we want to go on this trip, clearly we want to do online classes. I know a lot of the in-person classes have gone virtual, but there's a lot more freedom in just a strictly online platform. And so I looked at I think there were like maybe 10 or 12 national parks, and we put it onto a map, and we were able to like map out, okay, well, if we're going to be hitting Yellowstone, it's not going to be that much further to go up and hit Glacier National Park. And we ended up doing just like a giant loop of all of the Western United States. And so we would just like look in a big circle and be like, okay, what national parks are in that area? We didn't have any goals as we have to hit this national park. We just wanted to get as much as we possibly could in.
Yeah, that's really smart. Just going really just the shortest possible like way to get to everything. That like I don't know why that didn't occur to me as like the obvious way to do it. But now that you're explaining it, it makes a lot more sense. So in the planning process, did you guys think about kind of how much money you would need to spend throughout the journey? How long did the trip actually take?
We were gone for over 30 days, like right around there. When it came to budgeting, I thought I was so smart. I like calculated how much gas would be based on how much his car can hold in the tank, what gas mileage he gets, how much an average would cost to fill it. And I was way off because I didn't calculate like taking like in Yellowstone, when you get in the park, it'll take you 2 hours to get to your hike because the park is so big. And if there's a buffalo in the road, then traffic is stopped. And you're also at like 5,000 feet, so you're getting like 10 miles per gallon because your car is full of stuff. So I didn't calculate that very well. My numbers were off there. But we really didn't spend all that much money. Like we didn't buy expensive gear, and we ate just granola and like goldfish bars. So we did like some budgeting, but a lot of it was like, okay, like we'll take this much money and kind of just hope everything goes okay. And it did. There wasn't any like major curveballs that we didn't predict that would happen.
Yeah, and it really helps that we were able to use Bureau of Land Management sites for dispersed camping. Because then I think there were only 3 nights the whole trip that we ended up having to stay in like a hotel or a campground because like some of the sites were full, or we couldn't locate the right spot to camp. So
yeah,
that's interesting. When you were talking about the food that you guys were eating, it just occurred to me, did you guys really just like survive on snacks for an entire month, or did you like not eat out, like go to fast food restaurants or anything like that?
Yeah, so we brought in a little like single propane burner that we would make eggs a lot of mornings because that was really easy cleanup, and we would have soups as well, and then a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and a lot of granola bars. So man.
But you just packed all of your meals.
Yeah,
that's dope. I wouldn't have thought of doing that. Like, which makes a lot of sense because you're not really on you're not hitting like any metropolitan areas where you can really guarantee you can buy food somewhere.
Right. Yeah, and I think we had stocked up at a Walmart at one point. Maybe it was in Idaho, because our supplies had kind of gotten low. But aside from that, it's pretty easy to fill up the car with like the necessities.
Yeah, I think we spent less than $100 on food the whole trip.
Yeah, that's a level of discipline I aspire to.
At the moments we were hungry.
For anyone watching, if you guys do have questions for Logan or Bailey, you can drop them in the comments and we'll pull your question up on the screen. So just a note for everyone. So my next question is related to the video that Logan posted on YouTube. That I really loved watching the video. I actually watched it again this morning because it was just super fun to watch. So, and I saw a few of really cool scenes that you guys had. So I wanted to talk through them. If I were like really technologically savvy, I'd pull them up on a screen, but we're not doing that today. So I'm just going to describe them. So can you talk about the experience that you guys had at the Grand Canyon at sunrise? Can you describe what it looked like, how it made you feel?
Yeah, so that was a funny story. We had gotten to the Grand Canyon, and that was maybe the 1 week throughout the whole trip that we were just really behind on homework. And so we got there, and the night before that photo, we were working on homework for maybe 5 hours in the car, and we got to the site we wanted to camp at, and all of the local spots where we could set up a tent were full. So we ended up hiking right down to the north rim, and we woke up and we just had the best view, like, because it was pitch black when we set up our tents. So we just didn't realize how close we were to the to the rim of the Grand Canyon. And so we were able to like wake up and like look out our tents and be like, oh my gosh, like this is incredible.
Yeah. More on that. So we pulled into this camping area at like 12, and there's only like 14 spots available there in this, like, it's a small area, and they have them like set up so like you have to camp in this spot. And we saw like a little trail that kind of leads down into the canyon. So we walked down that a little bit to see like maybe there's somewhere down there we could just set up. And there was like a plateau that like went up off the trail and looked over. It was like barely enough room for both of our tents to go. And we climbed up there and like looked around, and we're like, let's just go here. Ran back to the car, grabbed as much as we could carry, and then set up there, and didn't really know what the view was like. But then when we woke up, we were like, on all sides is like a complete drop off. Sorry, my dog's trying to play.
No, it's totally fine. I'm like, my next question is, what is your dog's name? Because we're pet people over here, so I would be remiss not to ask.
This is Lou. She is about a year old. Yeah. She'll be coming on our next adventures.
Yes, and we need all of those pictures. We are doing I'm going to do some shameless plugging here. We do a Louis Study Buddies series on Instagram. So send us the pictures of you and Lou on the trip so we can have those plastered all over our Louis Study Buddy series. Okay, so the Grand Canyon sounded really, really fun, and you were talking about the trail that you went down, Logan, and the so you can keep going with that story, kind of, or if you were done, we can go on to the next park.
Yeah, basically we woke up on like the top of this like small plateau and didn't really know like the view that we had set up for. But we woke up at sunrise, and completely surrounding us is like, I don't know, I'd say like 100-foot drop off. And our tents are facing straight into this like crazy view of the Grand Canyon. And the sun is rising like directly in front of us. And we were just like, whoa, like we had no idea that's where we were camping. And that was a really cool moment for both of us, because we just got really lucky with that. And that's like something that I know will always stick with me, because that's a pretty unique way to experience the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, it really is. Being students and actually getting a shot. I really love that shot because it really exemplified the idea of distance learning in a new way that is like amazing, because I want everybody, and we're going to be putting links to the video that is on your YouTube channel, as well as the link to the picture on Bailey's Instagram. So we're going, so everybody will be able to see all of it if you just if you click the links after the video is officially posted on YouTube. But we have another question coming in from the audience, so let me drop it on the screen. Are you guys planning to do something like this every year, like making it an annual event?
Yeah, well, like Logan was saying, we're looking at doing another trip already. It'll probably be in the spring or next summer. And it just takes a little time to plan out where you want to go. And it might take even more time now that we've done one trip and we've made enough mistakes to realize what not to do and where to go and all of that. But I would love to do a trip like this every year. Next year is my last year, so I can't really say much for it. But
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, I'm ready to go on any trip like this at any time.
Yeah.
And I'll just really quick plan it because now, like Bailey said, we know what we need. We know what we need to know in order to make something like this happen. It's just about getting enough money to make that happen because I kind of spent all my summer job money on the last one.
So how do you feel like if you had tips for other students who are interested in doing something like this, what would be some of your best tips?
I'd say definitely like take the trip. It's a lot easier than you think it is, and you're like just be willing to make a lot of mistakes, and because we made a lot of mistakes, but at the same time, like I would not want any of the mistakes we made on that trip or fear of those mistakes to get in the way of actually going out and taking like such a cool trip like this.
Yeah.
And let's see, I look at like places to stay, like camping. We have this app called the Dyrt, DYRT, and it shows you anywhere you can camp for free in the United States. And it was a lifesaver. That way we didn't have to pay for any of the campsites we stayed at. And it would just point you to like Bureau of Land Management or National Forest Service spots.
Yeah. So this is a good follow-up question. So what was it like traveling and trying to find Wi-Fi when you're trying to make time for school?
We were a little bit nervous about that before we left, but the theme with this whole trip is like, okay, we thought this would be a problem, but it totally was not. And finding Wi-Fi was not an issue because we had most of our assignments downloaded. So we could read our textbook and like answer our questions. And then we would just use the hotspot on our phones and submit them. Because I think there was only one of our campsites where we didn't have at least some Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So, and on that app, the Dyrt, you can look and in the reviews, it'll be like, I have AT&T and I had full service. Or like, I have Verizon and I had no service here. So we'd try and find campsites that had service. And then about finding time, it's like a 5-hour drive between all these national parks. So if he's driving, I'm doing my homework and then we'd switch. So it really wasn't that hard to make time and be able to connect to the Wi-Fi to get stuff submitted.
Except for that time in the Grand Canyon when you forgot to do your homework.
That one was on us. We had fallen behind.
We got a little confident. We're like, we can do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Next question. Were you able to get inspired to start any business ventures as you traveled along? Any ideas popped into your mind for businesses?
I don't know. I mean, we talked about doing like a podcast series, and there was when we were hiking Half Dome, like Logan had this like great idea for like a camelback that would like because we didn't know how much water we had, and it's like a 15-mile hike.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh, there should be an app that connects to your water pack to tell you like the water level that you have.
Yeah, and I actually there was someone who reached out to me during our trip and like commented on one of my pictures, and then I DM'd him because he had just done the Grand Canyon hike we were gonna do, and he runs this like outdoors adventure company. And after the Forbes article, he reached back out to me, and now I'm actually starting an internship with him. So that's pretty crazy. And he was like, I have like a marketing position for you if you want to intern for me for a while. So you kind of never really know like where you're gonna get your opportunities from. You know?
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really excited that happened for you.
Yeah, I'm loving it. It's really fun.
Okay, so how do you feel like, so I was looking at Bailey's Instagram. He actually posted that picture that, started it all, I feel like, is the Grand Canyon shot.
I can pull it up and screen share it because it's in my my photos.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find it. Keep talking.
Yeah, so in the picture, or actually in the caption of the picture, Bailey talked a little bit about how the traditional classroom is not for everyone. Mm-hmm. So I wonder, do you guys feel like the traditional classroom isn't for you anymore? And then like how do you kind of know whether or not the traditional classroom isn't for you?
Me personally, I don't know if I could go back to the like traditional in-person classroom. And I think it was like that before this trip. I had taken some time off college and was working like in project management and account management for over a year before I decided to go back to school full time. Mm-hmm. And especially after this trip with taking everything online and I don't know, I really like the idea of getting to like bring your education with your life and like letting education like follow you wherever you're going to go. So yeah. Obviously there's always that opportunity to take in-person classes. I just don't know if I ever see myself doing that.
Yeah. How about you, Logan? Do you feel like the traditional classroom is for you anymore?
To be honest, I'm not really sure yet. I still like the traditional classroom, but I've also learned that doing online classes obviously has its perks. And if there's anything I've learned from this trip is that there's no need to have my feet set in stone and commit to anything like that. You know, like there's no need to like, I'm only going to be in person. Like I'm only for team in-person classes because it's easier to just be more fluid with how your life goes. And it's honestly more fun that way.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know that a lot of students do say that the flexibility of online is one thing that attracts them to taking the route of going to an online program. So I totally understand what you're saying in that regard. I actually just got Bailey's Instagram up on my screen. Do you guys want me to share that? Okay. Sharing.
I'm trying to figure out how to do it. Yeah.
Make this work. Did that work? I have no idea if that's working. Someone needs to tell me if it is. Oh, I can see it now. Yes, it is working. Okay, so this is the shot that started it all, everyone. We were so excited when we saw this is the Grand Canyon sunset, or is this a sunrise? This is a sunrise.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And these were just amazing, really amazing shots. And I think that this is really a really cool example of what it means to distance learn. And that's why I was so excited, or all of us were so excited when we saw these amazing photos. And everybody who's interested in seeing more, we're going to drop the link to Logan's YouTube video as well, so you guys can see all of the cool adventures that they went on, including one of my favorites. You guys were surfing in the sand, kind of. Where were you when you guys were doing that? Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was in the Grand Sand Dunes National Park. It's in like southern Colorado. That was a really cool one. That was actually our last stop. And we rented those sandboards for like $10 a piece. And then you just hike up, and it's really similar to snowboarding and our snowboard, but unfortunately they freeze. So we had a little bit more time on the ground than I did, but that was a really fun experience. That was really cool.
Yeah, sand is a lot harder than snow.
Yeah.
I wiped out a couple times on those sandboards.
And it's really hard to walk up. So you have like 5 seconds of going down, and then it takes all your energy to get back up and do it again.
So how about the one where who was this in the shot? You guys were jumping backwards off the rocks into a lake.
Oh yeah, that was Logan. He was doing a backflip into Lake McDonald, which is up in Glacier National Park. You can't tell, but that water was really cold. Yeah. Maybe 50 degrees. It was not warm. but it was really nice outside that day, and we were like, we are going to jump into this lake. And and I think that was the day before we ended up doing the Highline Trail.
Yeah, that was a really cool experience. Lake McDonald is really cool. Very cold though.
Yeah, very cool.
So how about the ATV adventure? I'm actually about to pull that one up.
That was in Redfish, Idaho. Up in, I don't know what the mountain range is called. That was pretty interesting though, because that was when there was a bunch of wildfires going on.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually one really close to us. So it was very like orange and hazy out, and we couldn't really see far, but we got to take in that ATV up to the top of a mountain ridge. That was cool.
I love this one. It is so picturesque, but also the level of anxiety that I would have had in this doing in an ATV like that. I don't know that I would do the same thing. And I love this shot too, because also just the views that you guys had were amazing. Where was this one?
This is Crater Lake in Oregon.
Oh, okay.
And then there's that's not Sequoia.
That's the Redwoods.
The Redwood National Park.
Nice. You guys are going to be able to watch this full video. I'm going to drop it in the links. I need to stop screen sharing because that was just obnoxious for people's eyes. But yeah, you guys are so, that trip was just so amazing to me. I wonder if you guys have any thoughts on why you think it's important for students to be able to have flexible education plans, and also like, is there a boundary to who or what kind of students that you think would be interested in learning this way?
I think that as more and more time goes on, there's way too many options for students than to just go like, I have to take the foundational path, whatever, like what my parents did and what my grandparents did. I like need to go spend 4 years on a campus and then graduate and get a job. And I think that more people are starting to recognize that, and people our age are starting to realize like, I can really do whatever I want. Like I can create my own path and I don't have to do what the people before me did, which I think is really cool and really important, which is exactly what Bailey and I did. Like we didn't want to go the traditional path, and this was a perfect opportunity to explore that.
Yeah, I think it's just something to look at as like just another opportunity. Like there's so many options, and I think there's also a lot of benefits to like learning on the road like this. Like I said, we made a lot of like mistakes and like different campgrounds that we couldn't find, or falling behind on our homework and all of that. But I think that also just is just another way of preparing you for like, it's a pretty disruptive world out there anyways. Like once you graduate, there's going to be things thrown at you that you just did not expect. And this trip's just another opportunity to kind of get used to that and really just like embrace it and run with it.
Thanks. So everyone in the audience, we have time for about 2 or 3 more questions. So if you want to drop more questions in the chat, I'll grab them and show them up on the screen. We actually have one ready. What was your favorite place that you visited?
My favorite place was when we climbed Half Dome. That was really cool. That was something we got really lucky with, because usually you have to get a ticket and like a pass in advance. And like the day before we did it, we entered a lottery and we got it. So we woke up at like 5 a.m., started hiking at like 6:30, and we didn't finish and get back to the car until like 6:30 that night. And it was 15 miles. And when you get to the top, there's 400 feet of cables that you have to like pull yourself up. And it's at a 60-degree angle on just like sheer granite. And on every side of you is like a 1,800-foot drop.
Yeah.
And we got to the top, like right before we're about to go up these cables, and we're looking at each other and we're like, I don't really want to do this. Like, this is so scary. And we're sitting there like taking our bags off and getting ready. And we hear like ding, ding, dink, and we look up, and someone from the top of the cables dropped their water bottle. So that was great. That was a great visual for us. We got to watch their water bottle
Just
bounce all the way down and then fall down like 1,000 feet. But we did it, and we got to the top and like took a couple pictures, and then realized we had to climb down, which was just as scary. But that was a really cool experience because, like, more than anything, it was a personal growth moment for both of us because it was like, this is something like my brain and my instincts are telling me not to do. And like, even on the way up, like anytime we'd stop, we'd think like, maybe we should turn around. Like, this is scary. Like, I'm not comfortable with this. But we did it, and obviously nothing bad happened, and it was really fun. So that was something that will always stick with me, like just overcoming something that my body, my brain is telling me I shouldn't do, and like, you're not capable of this, which that's the kind of experiences I think Bailey was talking about. Like, those are things you can't learn in a classroom. You have to actually put yourself in an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, that was probably the longest day of our whole trip too, because we did that. It was about a 15-mile hike. We were hiking for 11, 12 hours. And afterwards, we drove to our next campsite. It was somewhere, I think it was in Nevada. So we drove for maybe 3 or 4 hours and then worked on homework before we went to bed. So it was just a crazy, we were just like mentally, physically exhausted on all fronts. But it was so worth it. And getting to hike up Half Dome was incredible, as scary as it was.
That's amazing. So you guys obviously did this while studying. So what the world wants to know, what classes were you actually taking? I know you both are business majors.
Right. So like I had taken some classes over the summer. I went full time over the summer just to kind of prepare for this because I was in my capstone business policies course during the trip, and so then I loaded up the second term. So for the first term, I was just in the one business policies class, and then the second term, I was in 2 more. And that's what I really like about the online format is if you're planning on doing a trip, like during one of the terms, you can kind of load up the other term, so you're not taking a super packed schedule. And I even took some classes over the summer just so I could focus on one really important class while I'm on my trip, and then do another couple in the second term.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I was in business law for the first term when I was on the trip. And then I just put 2 classes in the second term, which was great because then I wasn't as worried about getting my classwork done on the trip, but I'm still not like falling behind. And I was able to make it up on the second term.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm all out of questions and we're all out of time. So I'm really happy that you guys were able to join us on our YouTube channel. I am so looking forward to your next trip because we are definitely bringing you back after that one. And also, Logan, let us know how the internship goes.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any last words you want to say before we go?
Take a trip.
Yeah, take it. If you're thinking about it, DM one of us on Instagram and we'll tell you anything you want to know.
Yeah.
And we will drop both of their Instagram Instagram pages in our description, as well as Logan's YouTube channel, so you guys can watch the full video that you guys saw some highlights of during this live. Thanks again, Logan and Bailey.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.